Hi everyone. I want to share my experience of Nimeakaya and the journey that brought me here. My friend wanted to go and try ayahuasca, and we were very close with him, so I decided to join him on this journey. And I've been into certain practices like yoga and doing other stuff, but I heard a lot about ayahuasca as being like a medicine. But coming here, I had absolutely no expectation whatsoever what's going to happen, how it's going to be. So I was pretty much open to everything. And, doing certain practices like yoga and stuff like that, it certainly helps you a lot, go through life and certain circumstances that you have problems and situations and deal with them in a more gentler way, kinder way, loving way. And for me, this experience here was, first it was feeling secure. When I researched where should we go and how are these ceremonies held, it was a sense of that we should find a place that could really provide us with the environment that we could relax, ease ourselves into, because spiritual work by no means is an easy work. It's actually not about sitting in a yogic pose or singing mantras. That certainly is an attribute of that, but by no means it is the essence of it. The essence of spiritual work is dealing with all the shit you've got inside you, and it's there. And maybe in life sometimes we try to numb that, we try to escape that by doing other stuff. So you should really feel secure facing all that and dealing with all that. And it involves everything from the place you're staying to the atmosphere to the people that are facilitating this experience. And I really want to express, the deepest of gratitude because you guys provided all that, Jill, Jake, Andrea, Matt. It was a beautiful experience, and it provided all that was needed for this experience to be deep, enriching, and the most important is we've got what we wanted. And in a way, everybody came here with certain intentions. They were willing to deal, with certain things in their life. And I'm pretty sure people come here, with their problems. If everything's well in your life, you're loving, you're kind, you wouldn't seek that. And spiritual seekers come here to deal with all that. And there were 3 ceremonies, and I didn't have really a clear intention, during the first one. So I was kind of like open for everything. Whatever comes, whatever work that needs to be done, I was quite open to it. And it came out that the first one was more physical. So I've purged. But the purging came later on when I thought it was over, and kind of the ceremony ended and went out there and I purged and I felt so much better on a physical level. The second one was in a way more enriching and more deep because it felt like the first time my body was purging, and it then knew what was going to happen on the physical level. And the second one, I was kind of feeling, the work that has to be done. More work should be done on the physical level, so there was certainly purging. And after that, I was able to go in I wouldn't call it a trance-like state, but it's certainly something close. It's a state of broadened consciousness from which you're able to see things more clearly. So if, let's say, we deal with our problems from our regular everyday consciousness and we always kind of have a limit of what we see, what we know. Those borders, those limits are not there when you're drinking ayahuasca and you go into the deeper state and you're able to have a much bigger perspective, a different perspective on how to deal with those problems, what's bothering you. And it gives you that clarity to work with that. So it is actually a medicine that helps you understand yourself better, the world around you better, and how we all interconnect. And we pretty much felt this around our group. Each got their own messages of how we're all connected, and how the world around us really is, because what we see and what we think and what we know is a very very limited picture of the world around you, and this gives you a much clearer perspective, and it is truly what's the right word? No, not revolutionary. It's
Revelation.
yeah, it gives you that revelation. Like you're actually, become more free, more open. And I certainly felt that, because I consider myself to be quite sensitive, and I wasn't always sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing, because sometimes we all feel different. We're all different, and there are certain traditions, there are certain ways of being and living, depending on where you are, what's the culture like, what's the country like, and so on. So you're not always sure how to deal with all those things that you have, and whether they're good or bad, and what's good or bad, really. It's kind of, this is like the spiritual path where you're trying to figure out who you are and how you can apply that, in the bigger world, and to be of service not only to yourself and the close people around you, but everybody. So this gives you that experience, and while you have it's like almost as if you're going from one state to another, and you start to feel on contrast the difference of where you are now, of what it's like, and from that sense, it's what I felt, the purging comes, as if you're trying to readjust your body, readjust your thinking, readjust your emotions to match that higher vibration, that higher state of being, consciousness, and it's really what it is. So it kind of adjusts your whole organism, your whole system, to be able to perceive that, to accept that, to integrate that, and to become basically like a radio. You're transmitting the higher frequency now. You've dealt with the problems, you've purged, and now you can see things more clearly, feel more clearly, and that's what the spiritual journey is all about. And the third experience, after the second one, I felt that there was more work to do. So the third ceremony was pretty much a continuation of the first two. And you by the third one, you certainly have more insights into what you're dealing with, things that might be bothering you, on an emotional level, on a physical level. So a third one is kind of like the completion of the first two. So it's like you can't see that from the start, but as like Steve Jobs said, you can always connect the dots looking backwards, but it's almost impossible to connect them looking forwards. And I think it's also worth to remember that, because everybody had different experiences. Somebody had a blissful experience the first time, the second was quite frightening to them. But then in the end, it kind of all stitched up together, and they were able to see that all these experiences are part of the same coin, no matter how you flip it. So for me, the third one was definitely working on my body, more on the physical side of things, and as if I was introduced to how the medicine works the second time, and I was able to use that newly acquired knowledge to enhance the effect. So I purged a lot, and it seemed like the whole group was on the same wavelength, because we were balancing each other out during the first and the second ceremony. So we're kind of, everybody was, it made sure that everybody got what they needed in order for all of us to be on the same level during the third ceremony, and it surely felt like that. And I'm talking about my personal experience, but through this whole process, through this medication, I understood that the process that the shamans take in this place. And it's really that we think that we're so advanced, having all this technology around us, different meds and stuff like that. But what it really is, it's all on the surface. We have all that, we have all the medication, we have all the systems and technology in place, but it kind of only works on a surface level, dealing with the symptoms or dealing with our wants and needs, but we never know where it comes from. And the shamans and the indigenous people, and the whole thing of, acquiring that medicine, which we've, like Alex calculated, and what are the odds of actually mixing those ingredients together and getting the brew that we drink that heals us. It's like 0.17 zeros point like 1 at the end. So it's like a very slim chance of getting there. And it tells you that these guys, these people, they're more in contact with the nature, with the earth that we live in, and it actually, like, we're the children here. We're inheriting this all together with all the animals, but we've came so far from that with our minds, racing, wanting to do certain things without understanding the reason behind it, without understanding the connection behind it. And shamans, they see all that. They feel all that. They work with this medicine. They honor it. They nurture it. They nurture the plants that it comes from. So they see the connection. And they see you for that very reason. When you're in the ceremony, when they're there, it might not seem like they're the singing, like Roman said, he was annoyed at first, by the singing. But at the same time, he admitted that it worked in some mysterious ways, and we've talked about it, and we've spoken about it, and I said, I think it's just our inability to understand that, because we're so used to, understanding certain things like math, physics, or, I don't know, business and other stuff. But we're like children when it comes to the actual process of healing, of connecting with the earth, with the plant medicine, with all those stuff. And the indigenous people, the shamans, they're way more advanced, because, some people get this altered states of consciousness during the ceremony, and I think everybody got, and certainly also got those visions and the feeling of that. And it is as if they work from a different dimension, a larger understanding. And it's very hard to heal the problems that we have. It's very hard to deal with them, from our regular everyday sense and point of consciousness, because you can't see a way out of it. You're limited by your own perception, by your own habits, by your own feelings. So going back to how it works, and you really have to get out of your everyday consciousness to deal with those problems. And what shamans do and what the medicine does, it gets you out there. You may try to resist it, you may try to fight it, but then what's the point of coming here? As Matt said, it's not just to get high in the jungle. It's not about that. It's about connecting deeply with yourself, by using these tools that the indigenous people, use for hundreds of years. And it's a process that you should approach thoughtfully. It is something that you should meditate about, think about, and if there's really problems in life that you cannot otherwise solve, or you're feeling depressed, or you feel like there's something wrong with you on a physical level, you're being given the knowledge of what it really is, where it comes from. And that's, I think, probably the essence of this medicine, and the work that shamans do, because, it's really amazing how one moment you feel like you're going like through a tough time, and when they approach you, when they sing directly to you, you start to feel an ease. You start to feel like you're at home. Everything is all right. You're going through this, and you feel supported. So, yeah, it's an absolutely beautiful experience, and I think it's certainly not for everyone, in the sense that you should feel the urge. You should be prepared to do this, because it's hard work. It's really hard work. And but if you know that you want to do it, you want to change your life, you want to find the answers to the questions that are bothering you, or you're in a place that doesn't feel fulfilling, or you're depressed, I would say totally go for it, you know, and be open to all the possibilities. Don't expect anything, you know, from it, and try to, you know, control it, or say, yeah, this is the experience I want to have, you know, or something like that. You should definitely have certain intentions, you know, but those intentions should be focused on the things that trouble you, that are causing you, you know, difficulties in life. And probably the rest is taken care of. The food is amazing, you know, for many reasons. You know, I travel around the world, and it's a lot of, you remember experiences, you remember people, but I love to eat, and I remember food a lot. But the food here is amazing, you know. The attitude, the security that you provide is amazing. You know, the yoga classes are amazing. The whole ceremonies, the shamans, it's everything is stitched perfectly well together, and I'm really grateful for that. Thank you.